one of the things that Luxoft saw as we got into this part of the technology, as we got into even 3G, 4G, SDN, NFV spaces, we saw that it really wasn't a good set of tools. We know that from looking at the context of the environment, we need to have virtualized testing tools. They need to run in the same environment as our applications. We know that they need to support multi-vendor from a traffic generation and a simulation perspective. There's lots of tools out there. Different vendors have different strengths. Service providers have tools from multiple legacies. We need to make sure that you have a testing solution that works with all of those existing tools. There's also a lot of good new open source and community supported and standard supported tools that have to be built in. We know that in practice, a service provider doesn't have just one infrastructure, just one NFV or SD environment. They have several. They have the one at their edge of the network. They have the one at the core. They might have several different arms of their business with slightly different versions and slightly different life cycles. We know that there's a life cycle of the infrastructure itself. I've got the version in my lab that I want to deploy next year. I've got the version that I'm currently rolling into my network, and I've got the version that's still in some of my sites that I haven't completely upgraded yet. And so you've got this whole living ecosystem of old and new applications, old and new infrastructures, old and new configurations that we need to be able to test. And we also know that we need, again, we have this staffing question of how do I get this increased volume with this increased number of configurations through my organization into my network and out to my customers with the same staff and the same organization I've had before. So that's the challenge side. So what Luxoft looked at, and we started this on this journey about 5 years ago, we said, okay, we've got automation tools we've built for our company and for our products. They work in multiple automation languages, but we needed to be able to extend those beyond just driving a test tool into these other spaces. So we developed software-defined labs in order to automate the entire ecosystem, all the way from setting up the infrastructure, setting up the system under test, the VNFs, the PNFs, cloud-native applications, the container-based applications. We set those up, we generate the network configuration, and we also generate the test heads and set up the test heads and test tools. That way we can, on demand, create an environment that represents the entire network or even a small piece of that network. That part is automated along with the tests themselves. With SDO, we found that the improvement in this whole pipeline can be as high as about 80%. In other words, it takes 80% less resources to get that application through the pipeline to the market. So that can either translate to faster time to market or more applications, or in most cases, both. We're getting the benefit on both sides.